What's up, everybody? It's Scotty here with Flat Track Flashback, and just wanted to hop on here real quick and give you, a quick little video as we're about a week removed from the Cory Promotions Hagerstown Flat Track race, the Donnie Bargman Memorial, a few outlaw races going on throughout this past week. Our season's over with, so we got to find that racing where we can, and Cory and his team put on another great event up there in Hagerstown. I was able to follow along with all the social media updates they were doing, and that's something that Cory really excels at with his programs, is giving us a lot of content throughout the weekend so we can stay up to date with all the action that's going on at his races, even when we're not able to be in attendance. Now, I wasn't able to attend this year, unfortunately. I think it's the first Cory Textra Promotions event that I've missed since 2020. So that kind of sucked. But nonetheless, it looks like they had a great event out there. Weather sort of hindered things on Saturday, but they were still able to persevere and get a full 2 days of racing up there in Hagerstown, Maryland. Just such an iconic track, and hope that I can be back there next year. So just looking at some of the results and some of the stories that were coming out of that throughout the weekend. Trevor Bruner, back-to-back years, looking really strong, although not getting 3 out of the 4 main events this year, but Trevor was able to pick up the weekend overall in the Open Expert class. He got the win on night 1 in that class and was runner-up on night 2. Over in the 450 Expert class, it was Briar Bauman picking up the overall in the 450 Experts, and Briar was also the winner of the Will Davis Memorial Dash for Cash over Trevor Bruner. For Briar, his 450 Expert results were a first and a third, and then a third and a first in the Open Expert class, and Briar was actually able to win the last pro main event and the first pro main event on the weekend, bookended by a couple of third place finishes, but on the podium every time, and that Will Davis Dash for Cash victory. The other winner on the weekend was Evan Renshaw, who picked up a victory in the 450 Expert class on day 2. He also ended up with a 5th, 6th, and a 4th in the Expert main events throughout the weekend. And kudos to Justin Jones, who on night 1 had a pretty solid battle. We got a little bit of a live look in from Cory and his team on their social medias there. And Jonesy and Briar Bauman going at it in one of those main events. And Justin Jones picks up a couple of runner-ups and was also victorious in the Connor LaFrance Dash for Cash on night 1. So a very impressive showing for Jones there in Hagerstown. Other podium finishes on the weekend would be Trent Lowe and Brandon Price. Good contingent of riders there, really competitive fields there in the pro class. We also got to see Walker Porter and the Cunningham brothers, who were out at Amateur Nationals this year and tend to step up and run the expert classes at a lot of these local races. Obviously, Dylan and Tyler Cunningham, very, very sporty up there in the Pennsylvania and Maryland region, contesting almost all of those District 6 races and have been fun to follow throughout the year. We also got to see the likes of Dan Bromley, Declan Bender, Tyler Raggio, just to name a few in the house there at Hagerstown, helping fill out those grids and put on a really good show there. Hope to get back up there next year. Really appreciate all the pro riders coming out to support that. But Cory's main focus is on developing the amateur program and really building up amateur flat track racing. And we had a strong showing from several riders throughout the weekend there. Obviously, Bodie Page has really burst on the scene this year. He had an amazing amateur nationals. And then, in Hagerstown over the weekend, he picked up 3 overall victories, the 250 AM, 450 AM, Open AM. Bodie Page was the weekend champion in those classes, picked up 2 wins each day. On Friday, he picked up wins in the 250 amateur and the Open amateur class. And he was runner-up to Dustin Healy in the 450 amateur class. And Dustin, always really strong in that region, had a pretty good outing there last year in Hagerstown, getting a main event win that in 2023. On day 2 for Bodie, he picks up a win, sweeps the 250 amateur class on the weekend, gets a little redemption in the 450 amateur class, winning that, but would have to settle for 3rd in the Open AM on day 2 behind Wyland Sager and Coy Cummins. And Coy Cummins was also the victor in the Ryan Barnes Amateur Dash for Cash on the weekend. Bodie is a really special talent. It's been cool to see just how successful he's been over these past few months and working with Cory and their program. And cool to have Bodie come over here from Australia. And man, just that talent pool in Australia with the Drain brothers, Page brothers, they're gonna be fun to follow their flat track careers as they come over here and try to take championships off the boys' stateside. Davey Durrell, always competitive in the vet classes. He wins 3 of the 4 races in the 40 and 50-plus divisions, was bested by Shane Livingston in the 40-plus class on night 1. Over in the hooligans, you got a split between the Seans. Sean Raggio takes a victory on night 1. Sean Bear gets a little redemption after going runner-up night 1. He wins on day 2 over Sean Raggio. Our youth riders, always fun to see the riders starting young and progressing through their careers. And Cruz Dexter picks up a championship on the weekend. Odin Music as well. And Ella and Jaden Nickens pick up weekend championships. For Cruz and Ella and Odin, they would sweep their classes. Jaden would win the 85cc overall after splitting with Colton Samuels amongst those two main events. And it was cool to watch the onboard footage of Jaden that the Nickens family released, getting to watch Jaden get around Hagerstown. I believe it was day 2 en route to his 85cc victory. Really cool onboard footage on their social channels. Definitely recommend checking that out. Also got to give a huge props to Odin Music, who not only swept the 65cc class, but he won the Steve Conley Youth Dash for Cash, and he bested AMA Youth Rider of the Year Drew Eldred in doing so in those 65cc classes. So Odin's been really, really strong this year, especially on a lot of these bigger half miles. Not afraid to let it rip. So it'll be cool to watch these riders: Cruz, Odin, Ella, Jaden, Colton Samuels, Drew Eldred. All these riders progress through the ranks in flat track racing. So keep an eye and remember those names. Speaking of other amateur riders that had a pretty good showing, Megan Grimel split wins with California's Jet Catarzi. Cool having Jet in the house all the way from the West Coast. So Megan and Jet splitting the Open Novice victories on the weekend there, with Megan getting the overall victory in the novice class. Darren LePage would be our vintage class champion, and Kyle Snyder brings it home in the 30 plus class. Solid weekend, good fields throughout the weekend. Obviously, we talked about this event going up against several other events around the nation and around the globe this year. So for Cory, 167 entries on Friday, 152 on Saturday, based on my count, which was just looking at lineups and making tallies. Those numbers could be a little off, but if that's true, north of 300 total entries on the weekend, and just having north of 150 each day is really cool to see, especially this late in the year and on a bigger track. It seems like for amateur racing, short tracks are a little more of a draw than some of these bigger half miles, maybe a little intimidating early on, but who am I to say? I know I'd be scared to death to ride a half mile. On the other end of that entries count, Golden Isle Speedway had the Steve Nace race over the weekend, and they had just north of 70 entries throughout all the classes that they had on display down there, which is a little bit of a bummer. I was hoping they'd be able to get a little bit more of a turnout there, but cool to see that track at least get utilized for bikes. Anybody with feedback from that, I'd love to hear about it, but just looking through the results, Aiden Brown picked up a couple of wins. Brianna McHugh and Lane Fussell picking up wins in the 450 and Open Amateur classes, respectively. They did get 11 riders in the 25-plus class, and a rider who's north of 25, Greg Boyle, he picks up the win in that class. Got to be super cool to pick up a win there, a full field of riders in that 25-plus class. But hopefully we can see more riders come out to these Steve Nace races. I would love to see Bike Week get built back up. Steve was doing a really good job with that. Some of those all-star races, we've said it over and over again. They're some of my favorite memories. Oglethorpe Speedway, Volusia, and Barberville, and I know they're utilizing Palaka now. But it'd be cool to see Golden Isles maybe get an all-star race on the way down to Bike Week earlier in the year, and maybe we could draw a few more riders into an event like that. Big thanks to McLean Drucker. It was fun to check out his YouTube channel and look at all the racing that he was involved in at Pekin, Illinois, in the Donnie Bargman Memorial. We got to see riders like Chase Sadoff, Bronson Bauman, Maxwell, Terrence Santero mix it up out there as well. Bronson posted an awesome photo of him just laying that framer over in the corner, and then looked like he and Chase Sadoff had a few good battles over the weekend. Chase, on these short tracks, I guess maybe camera angle or whatever, but it looks like he is about to take off to the moon and just blast off every time he's coming off the corner. Just his position and his style and the speed of those bikes. It's a sight to see. But it's cool to see those riders supporting that event. So with all this flat track racing going on across the world and it really picking up steam, you've got the FIM Championship, Flat Track Canada. Shouts out to Don Taylor, who picks up the championship in the Open Expert class there. And they're a great battle all year long with Tyler Sagan. That series races on some amazing tracks, and so I appreciate all the posts from that series and being able to stay in touch and keep up with everything that's going on up there. But again, with all this talent from across the world, Australia popping off, you got so many good riders in Canada and the FIM Championship as well. I see events like Motocross the Nations. I see these competitions where countries are vying for supremacy, and I would love if we could get something like that in flat track. So I've created this idea, and you can tell me all the reasons why it's not going to work in the comment section or in messages on Instagram, whatever. But I think it'd be really cool to have an event called the Flat Track World Challenge. And what I'm thinking is you take 8 riders from either class, singles or twins, from the U.S., and you take 8 riders from around the world, and they compete against each other in this event. And I would love to have it held the day before the AFT rounds at Daytona. And I know You're not supposed to have events on tracks that the AFT Series is racing on prior to their event. But let American Flat Track get involved. It was cool to see the amateur day at the Daytona Short Track. I believe it was on Tuesday this year before the Nationals were run on Thursday and Friday leading up to the bike week finale of the Daytona 200. I would like for that amateur race to still be on that Tuesday, and then Wednesday be like a media day for AFT. During the day, maybe from like 1 or 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., have the riders there. Have everybody that's around get a chance to practice at the Daytona Short Track. Everybody. You just run singles and twins. You can get a lot of media shots. You can get interviews, help build packages throughout the day. Maybe they do their stuff with the riders earlier in the week and all the promo stuff for Fox Sports and Flo Racing offsite at a venue so they can get their vignettes and stuff. But get some footage and let the riders look at the track on this Wednesday. And from there, after that, later in the night, I would like to see Team US versus Team World, and I want to see 16 total riders. And I want it to be kind of set up in a speedway format. I would like for everybody to go out, and you get one practice session and one qualifying session. Your qualifying times will seed you in the first round of the heats. You get gate pick in your first round only. U.S. riders qualify with U.S. riders, set that seeding. The world riders qualify with the world riders, get their seeding as well. Hope you're still with me. I know it's a little complicated right now. I'm saying a lot of things, and I have no idea if I'm going to be able to graphically support this properly. But regardless, you run 4 rounds of 4 heats. So you have 16 total heats. You run 4 laps, 4 riders in each one. 2 U.S. riders, 2 world riders in each heat going at it with each other. You earn points in each heat. So it's kind of like how Speedway GP sets their stuff up. So in each heat race, first place gets 4 and goes down by 1. So 4, 3, 2, 1. And you accumulate points throughout your heat racing. And that goes to your team total as well as your rider total. And I want the top 8 riders in points to face off in a 12-lap final. And we'll go 20 points to the winner, 16 for second, 12 for third, then 10, 8, 6, so on down through the rest. Your tiebreakers to make the final, we can go by heat wins and then qualifying time. That way, any tiebreakers with points can be broken in those ways. If you're tied on heat wins, we go to your qualifying time. The team with the most points, they get to be the World Challenge team winner, and then the rider who wins it gets a little bit of bragging rights. I think it'd be a cool way to build excitement, maybe generate some rivalries leading up to the Daytona Short Track night 1 and 2. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of flaws with this concept, and maybe the timing's not right. Maybe you guys think the event stinks. But I would love to see, hypothetically, let's say you take guys who are retired and they're the captains. So maybe Jared Mees were to captain the Team US and Steve Beatty captains Team World. You could take riders like Briar Bauman, Dallas Daniels, Cody Kopp, Chase Sadoff, Brandon Robinson, Jared Vanderkoy, Trevor Bruner, Don Gauthier. Just that's a hypothetical 8 for the US. And then with the world stage, you take Tom Drain, you get Max Whale, you bring in Tyler Sagan and Don Taylor if they're willing to come back down here. Hunter Bauer, Doug Lawrence if you can get him back down here. Krajcevic from Europe, Tim Need if we can get them over here. You know, we had some UK and some European riders over here. Obviously, Australia is really building up. I feel like maybe we're a couple years away from this really being able to take off with young Tom Drain's younger brother Sam, and then the Page brothers coming up as well. But I would love to see for us to incorporate this somehow, some way. And maybe it's not 8 and 8. But I feel like an event like that, sort of speedway style, I know Sammy Halbert would love this because that's kind of how they run it over in Europe, it seems. So maybe he ends up on Team US one year. But I would love to see some way to get a US versus the world situation going on. And, you know, full disclosure, this kind of got sparked watching the Laver Cup in tennis for me. But I would love to see an event like that where you get just an extra little exhibition build up coming into the season and utilize maybe that Wednesday before the short track. Because then it's most likely that you're going to have everybody healthy and a better chance of not competing with world schedules. I'd feel like right before Daytona would be the best time to do it. I don't know, it's not an exact science, and I'm kind of rambling, but what would you guys think? How would you guys approach it? It would be a cool idea to see U.S. versus the world on the flat track stage, and where would it fit in the schedule? This is just a wishful thinking thing. It's the off season. I got to come up with stuff to talk about. Later on, probably in the year, I'm going to do a wishful thinking riders and teams lineup for next year. And I've created a wishful thinking schedule as well that maybe I'll dive into later in the off season as well. Not going to be the real schedule. These aren't going to be the real teams. This flat track versus the world deal is probably not ever going to happen. But I don't know. I just think it'd be cool to utilize that Wednesday between the amateur race and the pro races as a test day for all the teams. and have a fun exhibition for fans to come check out. And if you can build like an international battle, I think that could be really spicy. But maybe I'm stupid. I don't know. Anyway, thanks everybody for checking this out. Please make sure you're supporting the Sideways podcast with myself and Colby Carlile. Please make sure you're checking out Tank Slapping podcast with Cory Texter and Eric Hartley. Off the Groove with Scotty Dubler. Sammy Halbert's OnlyFans and his YouTube channel. McLean Drucker's YouTube channel, getting all those races up that he does. Pipe Dreams podcast. Now they're on the Moto America platform. That is so sick for those guys. They do an incredible job with their show. By everybody that is creating content, Flat Track Factory, behind the scenes stuff and tech tips there. Everybody that's creating content for this sport and showcasing it, please support those people involved in it. And yeah, we'll spit out a few more of these videos throughout the off season just to kind of keep some content going around the sport, so we don't all forget that it's going on. But a lot of good district racing going on. There's still some big events to go on during the off season. We'll hype those up as we learn about them as well. Take care, everybody. Love one another, and have a great weekend. Hope everybody is stayed safe during Hurricane and Tropical Storm Helene. I know it's impacted Florida massively, and even up here in North Carolina, we got a lot of flooding. But I know it's been pretty heavy down there in Florida, and we have a lot of people living in Florida who I'm sure were impacted by this. So thoughts go out to you guys, and I hope everybody is staying safe down there. Take care, everyone, and we will talk to you soon. Much love.